All right, students. Now you can see the screen which I shared with you, and there is a question right in front of you on your screen that is briefly explain two ways in which operations management decision might add value to a product, right? And it's a 3-mark question. Can everybody see it?
Yes, sir. Sir, sorry to interrupt you. Sir, I wanted to say that can you share these questions with us because you also showed some of the questions previously, but you didn't share it.
So have you watched all my video lessons on my channel?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. I will make screenshot for
So
you. Thank you.
yes, you can, yeah. All right, so you can see there, you will find the answers. All right. Now it's a 3-mark question, right? And I told you the distribution of the marks is like that, 1 for the knowledge and 2 for analysis. So if you list 1 point or you list 2 points, still you will get 1 mark for the knowledge, right? We did discuss such type of questions in the earlier class as well. Now you are supposed to explain 2 ways, right? But now there is a change. Last time we discussed a question which was related with a restaurant business, right? Normally in a 3-mark question they do not give you a context, right? But if they ask you to talk about a certain business, then you cannot get away with it. Like you cannot write keeping into view an ordinary business. So right now here they are talking about operations management, right? Although this is the topic we are yet to cover, but I'll give you some hint about it because they have given a question uh, about a concept which is of from chapter number 1, right? But operation management, actually this concept comes later in the book. So but now because they have given a mix of it, so we have to discuss it. I'll tell you about operation management. Do remember, because in a business there are too many functions to be performed. One of the function, you know, that you have to deal with your workers, right? So you have to set their salary, you have to hire workers, you have to fire workers as well, then you have to evaluate the performance of the workers as well, you have to provide training to the workers, because these all activities are related with workers. So together the department or the manager who actually is responsible for all these activities is called HR manager, and that department is called HR department. HR stands for human resource. Okay, we'll talk about it in the coming chapters. But there is another department, we call it operations department. And do remember that obviously there is a person who is controlling that department, right? That person is called the operations manager. The job of operations department and the operations manager is to use the resources business has in order to produce goods and services. So basically, for example, if we talk about a business which manufactures furniture, so the area where furniture is being manufactured, that area will be under the control of operations manager. So mainly the job of operation department and the operation manager is manufacturing, and for that they need to have control over the raw material as well, because to manufacture something you require raw material, right? For example, in this case the example I gave, you require wood. So we'll have, so they make it sure that the business have ample raw material of wood available in the warehouse, so that it may not affect the continuity of the manufacturing process. Okay, so it means it is the job of the operation department to produce goods, right? And for that, if they require raw material, that is their job to buy the raw material at the right time, so that they will be able to meet the demand of the customers. So if customers want a different kind of a furniture, having a different design, again, that is the responsibility of the operations department. But do remember, who tells what kind of furniture is required? Obviously customers, but customers inform sales staff. For example, there is a furniture shop and they make furniture for people, right? Now you want a furniture of your own choice and which is not available in the shop. So you give order to the shopkeeper or the person who is responsible to attend customers, right? And that we call those people sales staff or sales representatives. So they get the order from the customers and then they inform the operations department. So obviously they must have some manufacturing area as well if the shop manufactures furniture themselves, because we are talking about a business which manufactures furniture and they might have their own shop as well. So the sales staff informs the operations department, and now the job is in the hands of operation manager to manufacture the furniture which is demanded by the customer, right? So now you understand what is the job of operations management. So now, because the question is about how value can be added to a product, we only need to consider from operations department perspective. Now we cannot say that we'll be attending customers in a better way. We'll have trained staff who will be extremely polite with the customers or who will be answering students' questions comfortably. We did discuss that in the other class, but here we cannot mention those factors. Why? Because this is related with marketing or sales, and operations department has nothing to do with sales or meeting people or customers. So I told you operation department is about production. It's about buying raw material, keeping it a stock so that they can use it in the manufacturing process. So now let's see how I did it. Let me read the answer for you. One way is to come up with an attractive design of the product. Now I have underlined it with green color. So do you really know why I have done it so, Ahmed Numan?
Yes, sir, because this is a point for knowledge.
Very good. Excellent answer, Ahmed. It means that you are getting the understanding and you are absolutely clear how to write answer given the marks. Right now they are 3. So very good. So this is knowledge, because you do not need to define something, although you can define operation management, but for a 3-mark question, you are not supposed to do it because
So
you will
sorry,
waste your. Yeah.
so sorry to interrupt you, but I have a question that you just said that operational management are the staff or the area which is used for buying the raw material. So the one who is buying the raw material, do he have any concerns with the designs of the product?
No, okay, that's right. Like I told you that, okay, when you buy raw material, you consider the demand of your customers, right? And how they are informed about it. The marketing people, the sales staff, they are supposed to inform the operational manager, right? But sales staff does not come under operation department. But this is how they get the understanding what type of design to be manufactured, and accordingly they buy the raw material. Ahmed, have I answered your question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. So now keep keep moving. So I told you for a 3-mark question, you are not supposed to define anything. Okay, because only 3 marks are there. But because 1 mark is there for knowledge, you can gain it. So it is better when you write or state a way. In that case, in that question, 2 ways are required. So you mention 1 way. You will get 1 mark for the knowledge. That is why I underlined it with green color. Now I developed it later that would make the potential customers interested in buying the product. as they see greater satisfaction in buying it, right? This would enable business to charge a higher price while keeping the cost of bought-in material unchanged, hence adding value to a product. Now, this is a comprehensive development of a point. How? Because I related the knowledge part with the development, that how value will be added, like how if a business manufactures an attractive design of the product, how it will lead to added value. Why? Because you know that value is added when the gap between the price and the cost of bought-in material increases, right? So I explained that in my point, that this will attractive design will lead to a greater gap between price and cost of bought-in material. The business might be buying the same raw material, having the same cost, but now because they are able to produce an attractive design of the product, so they are able to charge a higher price. Still, people are satisfied. So value will be added, and obviously, you know that in the end, the business will be getting more profit as well. But here we are not going to talk about that because the question is about added value. Okay, any question regarding that? I can wait. Any student who is not clear about this explanation? Because up till now, the student will be able to get 2 out of 3, right? You know that. 1 for the knowledge, 1 for analysis as well. And generally, you know that whenever you develop a point, you first state it, okay? And once you state a point, you will get mark for the knowledge. Okay, so you can write other points as well. For operation department, another point could be that, let me write change of supplier. Why? Because operation department is responsible to buy raw material. Okay, so for example, if they क्या मुसीबत है? Hello. Okay, can you hear me? Because I just got a phone call.
Yes, sir.
All right, and you can see the screen as well.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. So change of supplier can be another point as well. But I don't want to discuss that because there is another question and I discussed that there. So I am not going to discuss it. Okay. All right.
सर इफ भी सर अगर हम इसको थोड़ा सा और इलैबोरेट करें, जो फर्स्ट पॉइंट हम लोगों ने यूज किया था, वन वे टू कम विद एन अट्रैक्टिव डिजाइन वाला, सो क्योंकि हमारे पास नॉलेज के तो 1 मार्क ही होगा, वो हमें 1 पॉइंट से मिल जाएगा। एनालिसिस के लिए हमें एक और नॉलेज का पॉइंट देना पड़ेगा और मार्क के लिए।
Yeah, the problem is the question is about 2 ways. Okay. So that is why you have to mention 2 ways. Otherwise, you can get 3 marks for developing 1 point also. But that happens in bigger mark questions. So this is not under discussion because they have clearly mentioned 2 ways, and generally they do it for 3 mark question. They ask you to explain 2 advantages or 2 disadvantages or 2 features. So then there is no way out. You have to explain 2, and you will get marks for analysis, 1 mark for analysis for each point. Why? Because 1 is for the knowledge. Okay, another point you can write, that is quality of the product. I'm just telling you how you can choose factors which are related with operations management. Do remember that. You cannot write anything which is not related with operations management. So change of supplier, yes, it is linked with operations management, so it's relevant. Similarly, quality of the product, who is responsible to produce a better quality? Obviously the engineers, the people who are responsible to produce goods, right? Again, it is directly linked with operations management. Okay, you cannot write any other factor which is irrelevant to operations management because the examiner has specifically stated operations management, that you have to mention the factors which can add value, but that should be the contribution of operation management rather than any other department. Okay, all right. Now let's see another question. Yes, please.
So sorry, सर क्वालिटी ऑफ प्रोडक्ट को जब इनहांस करेंगे तो हमें रॉ मटेरियल और अच्छी क्वालिटी का लेना पड़ेगा, उससे हम लोगों को खुद भी पैसे लगाने पड़ेंगे, तो सर ये कैसे ऐड वैल्यू करेगा प्रोडक्ट को?
Look, listen. Thing is that it's not about when I say quality of the product, so it does not mean that we'll buy expensive raw material. Yes, it is possible. But do remember when we use the word quality, it means greater customer satisfaction. So it means that if, for example, the way you are producing your product now, it is more fine, okay, and it is more compact, but you're using the same raw material, having the same cost, but now you are focusing more on uh, uh, the quality of the product other than the design of the product, because now if the customers feel that now the finishing is more fine, it looks good, so in that case, without adding cost in it, you will be able to increase the price and people will still like to buy it. So it's not all about then when you increase the quality, you have to buy an expensive raw material. Yes, it is possible, but not all the time, because sometimes you are able to produce such a product which looks expensive. In fact, it is not in terms of cost. The business has not spent much on it, but the overall outlook of the product makes it more expensive. So this is how they can do it. All right, let's see another question, and then we'll move on to the next topic again. Now, briefly explain two ways a restaurant could increase its value added. And we did discuss that in the previous class, but I wanted to explain you by coming up with my own answer. Now, one way is to change the supplier to buy food ingredients. Right now, I have specifically mentioned food ingredients. Do you know why? Because now the question is about restaurant. And in restaurant, obviously food is served, you know that. So that's why I want to relate it with the statement of the question. So this is the knowledge part, you know that. So who can offer the same quality of ingredients at a low price? Okay, so you want to change the supplier. So you select a new supplier who can offer you the same quality of raw material, but at a lower price. It will enable business to reduce its cost of raw material while keeping the price of their dish the same, right? Again, I've used the word dish because it is quite relevant with the restaurant business. It would enable the restaurant to increase its value added. And I told you there are two ways to add value. One, reduce your cost. Second, increase your price. So in the previous question, I told you how business would be able to increase its price, right? By coming up with an attractive design of the product. Here I am mentioning how cost can be reduced, right? Again, it will increase the gap between the price of the product and the cost of bought-in material. Okay, any questions, students, from your side? Or is it clear to you? So no question. It means now it's quite obvious, and that is why I'm actually showing you my answers as well, so that you will be absolutely clear. Because if you see mark scheme as well, you will not find a definite answer. Even you won't find a definite marks distribution. So that is why I want you to be absolutely clear. So when I'll start giving you assignments, I want you to write in the way I want it. Okay, now let's move on to the next topic. All right. The next topic is major challenges faced by entrepreneurs. Now, because whenever you start your business, it's not that easy. It's not a child's play, because there are many risks involved in it and many obstacles which are there, and you have to remove those obstacles to make your business successful, especially if you have just started your business. So let's have a look on those factors which can create an obstacle for an entrepreneur. First is business idea. Now, it's not that easy. For example, you want to start a business First of all, you need to have a unique business idea, because if it is not unique and it is similar to the idea which other businesses are following, so why would people like to buy from you? Okay, because if there are already established brands there, people would like to buy from them because they are already satisfied with them. So you have to come up with a unique business idea. Okay, the idea might be the same, but again, the process of providing it to the customers needs to be different, especially if it is a service business. Then you might be giving service to the customers, but it should be unique, a different way of giving service to customers. Like, I'll give you an example. For example, you want to start a beauty parlor, right? And again, you are in the business of providing service to people. There are many beauty parlors available, right? So you have an idea that, okay, we'll provide it to the people at their home. Okay, so we have our own staff, and they will visit people's house and they will serve them there. Now this is a unique business idea, right? The service is almost the same, but now the people do not have to go to the beauty parlor all the way, because it may consume a lot of time and they might not be in a position to go there. They might not be having their own vehicle or conveyance. Okay, so that is crucial. So you have to think about a business idea which can make your business successful, because if you just start your business haphazardly, so you might have to face a complete failure, and a lot of money you will put in that will be wasted. Okay, then we have capital. Again, for a new business, you require a certain amount of money to start your business, and you might not be having it, and you have to borrow it from somewhere. And most probably this is the person you borrow it from, that is the bank manager. In fact, a financial institution from where you can borrow money. Now it's not that easy to borrow money. Why? Because if you think that you will go to the bank and you will ask for the loan and they will give it to you straight away, no, this is not possible. One thing, it might be a lengthy process. Why? Because you are a new business and you do not have any past track record which a bank manager can see. All right, so they have to see very closely whether the business you are going to run, whether it will be successful in the future or not, keeping into view the environment of the business where you are going to operate in. Like, for example, the government policies, whether they are friendly enough for that business, whether there are enough customers in that region or not, whether people are having such income to buy such product. Okay, whether people have the taste or habit to consume such a product. So there are many questions which a bank manager may raise, and they first try to answer those questions. I am talking about the entrepreneur, right? So entrepreneur has to do his or her homework first, okay, and must be prepared for all the questions which will be raised by the bank manager right there. So, and most of the time, the smaller businesses who want to start their business, they are not able to answer every single query of the bank manager. And one of the thing uh, which really hurts new businesses, that is the security. Because whenever the money will be borrowed from the bank, a certain amount of security is required, and security will not be a verbal one, that they will write a statement that we are supposed to give the money back to you after a certain time period. No, this won't be sufficient, although it will be part of the agreement, but you have to submit your something which is very valuable. For example, your property, your house, or something else. So that, why? Because if you are unable to pay, they will sell that property to recover that amount which they lent it to you. This is what we call security or collateral. Sometimes we call it collateral as well, but security is an easier word, right? So for smaller businesses, they do not have such kind of security to offer to the banks. So then banks hesitate to lend money to them. So eventually, they got a problem. Smaller businesses, if they don't find money or a sufficient amount of investment which is required to start their business, they cannot start the business, or they may stop in the midway and they have to close down their business eventually. So this is the problem. Otherwise, for a established business, for example, if you say, I am the manager of Pepsi and I want a certain amount of money, they know that Pepsi is a huge, a gigantic company, and it is very successful all over the country, even all over the world, right? So maybe the manager might not be having sufficient reason to negate it, or to say that no, we won't provide you the loan or the amount you require. So, and they normally have sufficient amount of security to offer as well. So think about a very large business. The bank manager is pretty much sure that because they are running such a huge business, so it's not possible for them to run away with it, like closing down such a large business and going away just because they don't want to pay the money back. This is just not possible for larger businesses. So there is more security for the banks to give the money to such businesses. So okay, then location. Again, location does matter. Think about shopping malls. You know that all shops which are on the ground floor, they are very expensive. Think about Emporium Mall. So all the shops which are there, their rent is very high. In fact, sky high. Reason is because people who are there to buy something and they are in a hurry, so they want to reach to the first shop from where they can buy, and obviously that will be available on the ground floor, right? And that is the most suitable location because everybody uh, passes by it, right? Because if you want to go to the first floor or second floor, obviously you first visit the ground floor. So all the shops which are there, they are visible to everybody, right? So more exposure is there. So they are expensive, and for smaller businesses, they find it difficult to hire such shops, and because they are expensive and they do not have the money. Similarly, think about the very famous areas which are visited more often by customers. Again, the shops will be very expensive over there. If you can build your own shop, it will be expensive. If you take it on rent, still it will be very expensive. So for smaller businesses, it's difficult. Now, for example, if you hire a shop in the basement, it might be cheaper and affordable for a smaller business, but the problem is no customer will visit that because nobody knows that there is a shop downstairs as well. Because generally what happens, if for example you are visiting a place for the first time and you require something, for example you require a cold drink, you are thirsty, so the first ordinary shop you see where cold drink is available, you will visit that. And normally the shops which are on the ground floor, they are visible to everybody who is on the road, right? So what about the a store which is in the basement? Unless and until you know that there is a store downstairs, you will visit it. Otherwise, you won't. Nobody knows. So obviously, it is less likely that customers will visit that store which is located downstairs. So downstairs, yes, it is cheap, but again, you won't get a lot of customers. So again, that is the problem for smaller businesses or the new entrepreneurs. Competition. Again, there could be a problem. Problem is that when you start your business and there are other rival businesses available, so how would you impress the customers who are already buying from established businesses? Unless you have some unique idea, unless you have something which is different from the products which are available in the market, you you find it difficult to compete. And you know that there are many shops which actually open in your areas or in your locality, and after a few months you find them closed down. Why? Because they try to survive there for us for some time period, but when they see that people are buying from the old shops because they are loyal to them or they are satisfied buying from there, So they eventually have to close down their business, because how long you can suffer loss? Obviously, because you are paying it from your own pocket. So competition actually gives a very tough time to new businesses, especially if the new businesses um, have the same idea or have the same product or service which is being provided by other businesses to the customers. Um, then customer base. Okay, I can tell you one thing regarding competition. I can relate it with an example. You know that when Lay's was launched, you know that Lay's is not the oldest brand of Pepsi. Lay's is one of the brand of Pepsi, right? Pepsi is very old. You know that actually it started in 1885, right? So, and Coca-Cola even is older than Pepsi, almost 10 years. Okay, so Pepsi, when Lay's was there, because there were already established brands of chips available there. There was Pringle there was Super Crisp, and there were other brands there. So what happened? There was a rumor all around, which was spread obviously by those established brands, that Lay's is not halal because they actually use pig fat in making those chips. And you know that because we live in a Muslim country and we are Muslims by the grace of God, so we won't like to buy that. So the sales of the Lay's dropped down at that moment. So despite the fact that Lay's was one of the brand of a very famous company, that is Pepsi, right? But still it happened, huh? But they actually managed it somehow. How? Because actually they at the time they realized that, and then they hired a person, Junaid Jamshed. And do you know why they hired Junaid Jamshed? Because Junaid Jamshed was not only a celebrity. Obviously, he was a very popular singer, right? At his time, and at the same time he was a religious scholar as well, right? So they actually showed in their advertisement Junaid Jamshed eating chips and saying it is 100% halal. So then after that advertisement, the sales started going up as far as Lay's was concerned. So this is how they managed it. But I'm telling you that competition gives very tough time to new businesses. So if it can give tough time to a brand like Pepsi, so what about new entrepreneurs? They really find it very hard to get through it. Then we have customer base. Now, to have large number of customers, but once you are able to retain large number of customers, it will be easier for you to get it started, right? So for that, in order to attract large number of customers or sufficient amount of customers, you have to compete with your established brands. And again, for that you have to tell them that you have something unique. So if you do not have it, how can you drag customers to your site? How can you convince customers to buy from you? Think about it. There is uh, you, a brand available, Milk Pack, right? So Milk Pack is actually a brand of Nestle. Okay, it's a very popular company. In fact, the largest food company. I think I discussed that in the other class. Okay, and if Milk Pack is there and you then have Nestle yogurt, that was the first brand we know as far as frozen yogurts are concerned, right? So now if there is another yogurt there, maybe ABC for example, and it is available in the shop, and shopkeepers, they keep on saying to the customers, please buy this, it's of better quality. Would you like to buy that? That is my question. Obviously not. Why? Because you are already familiar with one of the brand and you have been using it for so long, and you now you think that the taste you want to have it in a yogurt, it's right there in Nestle. So it's very difficult for a new brand to have some sort of image to attract large number of customers. So to have a strong customer base, it is a daunting task for new entrepreneurs. All right. Now, this is again a very important concept, that is social enterprise. We'll discuss that. Okay, any question regarding the challenges faced by entrepreneurs? the topic we covered? Anyone who wants to raise any question? So there is no question, I believe, right? So Hira, are you, because you studied economics and you were not a business student, so is it okay for you, Hira, Isra?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Isra, what do you think?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. So now we move on to social enterprise. And there's a new term, they are social entrepreneur. We need to understand that as well. Now, social enterprise, do remember it's a business. So when we say it's a business, their objective is profit. But that is not one of their objective. They have other objectives as well. Okay, I'll discuss that. But before I discuss, I need to tell you about uh, social enterprise. What are other objectives other than the profit? They are, they take care of the people. So their another objective is people. They take care of the environment as well. So their another objective is planet. So basically they have three main objectives: profit, people, and planet. Okay, now how do they achieve those objectives? To achieve profit, you know that how they do it, because they can show advertisements, they can develop products which are required by the people, so they can earn profit in that way, and they do it in the same way as other businesses, ordinary businesses do it. But if I talk about the objective of people, how they do it, for example, um, they take care of the people. In that case, it might be workers. So they do not want to hire child labor, because child labor is not good at all, because that is the age where children should either play or study, so that they can be a better professional in the future by getting education. So they won't hire child labor, right? Child labor is common in Pakistan, I know, and it's cheaper as well, right? But social enterprise does not hire child labor, because although it is cheaper, but it is against humanity, right? It is unethical. It is against the rules of morality. Other businesses might use child labor, but social enterprise won't do it. This is how they achieve the objective of people. Similarly, if they are, for example, uh, producing products for people, and when I use the word products, it means goods as well as services. So it must be of the right quality. They must not deceive people. They should not charge a high price from the people, from the customers, right? So again, this is like achieving the objective of people. So people can be your workers, people can be the consumers who buy from you, right? And third is the planet. So they take care of the environment as well. Now, how do they do it? They do not use cheap machinery, because when they use cheap machinery, it might reduce their cost, but it pollutes the environment. Okay, so pollution can be of different forms: air pollution, water pollution, land pollution. So what do? They hire expensive machinery, it increases their cost, but they are able to achieve the objective of planet. They do not pollute the environment. Similarly, if they have lots of waste, obviously all factories, they do have waste resulting from the production process. So they do not dump it outside their factory area, because it creates land pollution. So they actually uh, throw it in the junkyard. So they might have their own vehicles which take the waste from the factory, and all vehicles throw it in the junkyard, which is the proper place to keep the junk. So again, it may increase their cost, but they will be able to achieve the objective of planet. So this is the main objectives of a social enterprise. Now let's have a look at the definition. A business or service with primarily social objectives, whose surpluses are principally reinvested for that purpose in the community rather than being driven by the need to maximize profit for shareholders and owners. Now this is a bookish definition, right? It's there in your book as well, in my notes as well. So I kept the same. But I'll explain that you can come up with your own definition as well. There's no need to cram that definition. Now, but you need to understand what are the features which must be part of your definition when you are defining it on your own. So a business or service, their primary objective is social. It means, yes, they do have the objective of profit, but that is not their primary objective. Their primary objective is planet, the environment, right? Their primary objective is people, right? The consumers, the workers. Okay. So whose surpluses, now here surpluses means profit. So whatever profit they earn are principally reinvested. So principally means majority of the profit is reinvested for that purpose. And what is the purpose? Purpose is social objectives. Take care of the environment and people in the community, rather than being driven by the need to maximize profit for shareholders. So rather than giving a major share of profit to the owners of the business, they use the majority of the profit for reinvestment purpose. So they can give benefit to the people and to the planet in a much better way. So shareholders are also called owners, right? We'll talk about it, what is the difference between shareholders and owners, but at the moment just consider that shareholders are the owners as well. Okay, now if you see the example, there are different examples there. Let me show it to you with another. Yeah, now if you see, in Pakistan there is Kashyap Foundation, and it's very close, its office is very close to City School. You know Expo Center, right? So you know that there is a petrol pump there near to Expo Center, right? So there is a building adjacent to that petrol pump, and it's written there Kaf Sheen Fe, same as you can see on the screen as well. So Kashyap Foundation basically takes care of the deprived women, poor, wrecked and wretched women who wants to start their own business. So if for example, if a woman wants to start her own business, Kashyap Foundation offers them a certain amount of loan, which they are supposed to pay it back after a certain time period. But you know that nobody offers loan to poor people because they do not have anything to offer. They do not have a security, right? So they do it. It means that their one of the objective is to improve or lift the living standard of the poor females. Similarly, we have Divine Chocolates as well. So again, they produce chocolates, they manufacture chocolates, and but what do they do for that? You know that there cocoa beans. This is one of the ingredient which is used in to make chocolates, right? Especially black chocolates. So they buy it from the farmers of Ghana. You know that poverty prevails over there. It is one of the country in Africa, right? So, but you know that farmers they are poor, but they offer them a fair price. Although you know that when farmers are poor, you can offer them any price because there is no way out. So they sell their products at a very low price. But here they take care of the farmers and they buy it the cocoa beans from those farmers at a very fair price. Okay, so that the standard of living of the farmers living in Ghana can be increased as well. Okay, so that is again one of their objective, although they do earn profit as well. Okay, similarly, if I talk about another business, that is Selco in India, they provide energy solutions to people in India. If you see the picture, so a poor man is there, and if he is not able to afford electricity or he lives in that area where electricity is not available, so Selco actually helps those people to increase their quality of life, right? Similarly, BioLite, again they provide energy solutions. This is based in UK, and they actually provide energy solutions again to many people. All right. Okay, all right, I'll stop here And inshallah, I will continue the same concept in the next class. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next class.